Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach. I think that I am live streaming. Let me just double check and look to see. I am. One moment. Yeah. So, Zoom does this thing where it never tells me that I'm live. It just starts shooting me out to the world. So, hey, let me do some housekeeping things. Hey, my name is Marthea Pitts. I'm known on the social work streets as the MSW coach. Let me spend a few seconds introducing myself because people find me every day. Um, how can I stay a way to update this? Because people find me different ways every day. And so I am known on the social work streets as the MSW coach, and I teach social workers how to make the pivot from case management to macro social work roles where they are. Let me test my sound one moment. Yep, I'm doing good on sound. Where they are able to scale their impact in their salaries by finding and landing aligned jobs where they are now working as macro social workers. If you don't know what macro social work is, because it is a real elusive side of the social work profession, it is the area of practice where you do work to essentially change systems. And so, how I teach social workers how to identify systems and what that is in a contextual um illustration is as a case manager, when we work with our participants every day, your participants are being impacted by the invisible systems, hence the reason why they are being required to come into your social service agency, your nonprofit, whatever setting you're in. Even my school social workers, your students, the education system is a system, right? And so as a result of that, the people that we serve are being impacted negatively mainly by these imaginary systems, these invisible systems. I always say the silent but loud systems. And so I myself, and to give you an example of what I mean by a system and a contextual like case management example, I started out in the front lines as a workforce development career counselor. So what that means is that I worked in a federal workforce development board where I helped people receiving welfare transition benefits, TANF benefits, temporary assistance for needy families benefits. And as a result of getting those benefits, they had to be engaged in what the federal government calls work activity. Right. And so in that position, I was responsible for engaging my participants in work activity and also helping them get jobs. And so in that system, I realized that there were huge inequities as far as like the type of work activity the people like me were being assigned to versus people that did not look like me as far as the support services they could get, as far as training. It was just a lot of barriers more than opportunities. Also, I lived in a city that was identified to be the most economically segregated city in the nation. And that was the same year that I was working on the front lines and like making the impossible happen. So I share that to give you an example of like wherever you're working, your people are being impacted by these invisible systems, right? And so a lot of the times why your job is so hard is not because the people don't want to participate or engage. It's because they are being impacted by other things. So I always give people the example when it comes to a job. You can't talk about a job until we talk about affordable housing and quality affordable childcare and mass transportation, right? No one will be able to keep a job if they don't have those things. And so the same thing stands for like my school social workers. Your parents won't be able to effectively engage in their child's learning if they are struggling to like get somewhere to stay every night because they're houseless or if they're food insecure. For my medical social workers, your patients, their families won't be able to effectively ensure that they're going through their treatment plan and getting their prescriptions and things like that if they don't have quality employment or if they don't have other means of income to pay for costly prescriptions, right? So that's why you as a medical social worker have to go out and find prescription supplements. You have to call the pharmaceutical companies to see if they can like give you some type of give the person some type of like program where they can cut the cost of the prescription in half. All of these things contribute to why your job is so hard. So I give that as an example because every day people find me and they know, everyone's context about macro social work is different. So I wanted to explain that. If you are watching live, drop in the chat what type of social work do you do and what have you identified as being a thing that impacts your participants negatively, right? Because when in the workforce development arena, the idea is just that people don't want to work. No, it's just that sometimes it costs them more to work a low paying, low quality job, right? And sometimes it just may be better for them to stay at home, especially if they're paying out all of their income, their earnings in childcare, right? And so just a lot of the things that we hear in our roles as far as like the deficits of the people that we're serving usually is not just them. Sometimes, right? Depending on who you work with, where you work, but that wasn't my situation. My people wanted to work, they wanted good jobs, they wanted to achieve self-sufficiency. However, we lived in a city where jobs were just not available like that for the people that I primarily served, right? So I wanted to share that. But today we are but drop in the chat and tell me, where do you work as a social worker and what issue have you seen impacting your participants from a macro level, from a systems level? Move from the individual and focus on like what systems are negatively impacting your people from achieving lifelong self-sufficiency, however that is defined for your area of practice in your setting. But today I wanted to come on and talk about give you 3 ways to build confidence to take the next big step in your career. I've been meeting with social workers, for like the last 30 days and talking with them about potentially coming inside of cohort 7 of the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator. If you don't know, I'm actively enrolling for cohort 17. Did I say cohort 7? It's cohort 17. I've been doing this for 5 years. We are now in cohort 17. I've been actively meeting with social workers over the last 30 days about coming into cohort 17 and going through the process of learning how to get a macro social work job. And cohort 17 is of the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator, which is my group career coaching program. If you don't know what that is, it's my coaching program where it's my program promised to teach you how to identify, apply, and interview for your dream macro social work job. So I've been talking to social workers in 3 months or less. And so I've been talking to social workers all weekend. And I thought about it today. Like one of the running themes and the things that I've been hearing from social workers and reading from what they put on their pre-interest application. And if you want to like, what am I talking about? Like, in order to be considered to get an invite to join the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator, because I don't work with every social worker, um, there is a process where you schedule a free 15-minute get to know you chat. And the get to know you chat is just an opportunity for me to learn about what your career goals are, what have been your barriers to getting a macro job, and for me to determine if I'm able to help you and if you would be a good fit for our community. And so I dropped the link in the YouTube chat box for scheduling a free 15-minute get to know you chat. And what I always tell people is just come talk to me. What I find is that a lot of people try to disqualify themselves and say that they aren't qualified to come inside of the accelerator, when in all honesty, you don't have the requisite information to be able to make that determination on your own. That's why I have the get to know you chats, and they're free of charge. And it's an opportunity for me to meet you, get to understand what your needs are, what your long-term goals are, what your issues and challenges are. And then I will like walk you through the steps of telling you about the program, and then also telling you like, yes, I'm able to help you. No, I'm not able to help you. So schedule a free get to know you chat. Don't try to make that determination on your own. I do have payment options, payment plans available, finance options, multiple finance options available. So like price is not a barrier for people. Um, some require credit checks, others don't require credit checks. So I have a little bit for everybody. But one of the running themes that I've noticed over the last 3 days, and I've met with quite a few social workers who've come through the Get to Know You chat, is that a lot of them are struggling with confidence, right? And so when I talk about confidence in relationship to your career, what I'm talking about is like the silent, unspoken fear that you have about your ability or inability to do a bigger job than where you currently are. So I first want to acknowledge that career confidence or a lack of career confidence or diminishment of career confidence, however you want to spin it to make it like, strength focus. Confidence is a very real thing. So I want to first acknowledge that if you silently like struggle with your internal confidence to apply for what we call the scary jobs, right? That's what I used to hear social workers say all the time, like, oh, I see the job on the job board, but that job title sounds too big, like it's too much responsibility, or like it's way bigger than what I can do. And just based off of the job title alone, I don't click on it. Or what I also used to hear over the years a lot is like people looking just at the salary range and determining just off of the salary range and not even clicking the job open to read the actual job description, just determining off of the salary range, like, oh no, that's outside of like what I can do. That's not for me, right? And so over the years, I've like attached a term to those, and we call those the scary jobs. And so I first want to acknowledge that diminished career confidence or little career confidence, however you want to word it, is a major thing for many people. And if you ever meet someone that says that they don't have fear about doing something new, big or bigger in their life, be it inside of their career or outside of their career, I want you to know that they're lying to you. Okay. Everyone has fear. The difference is that some people who appear to you as fearless, they just have learned strategies, right, of how to persist despite the fear. Right. I always tell the story about when I was going through the process of pivoting my career from case management in that workforce development center to macro level work. Again, because of all of the glaring inequities that I saw, and I was like, I want to be as proximate to power as possible. One of my biggest struggles at that time was my career confidence, right, being low, and about my inability to do bigger roles, more so from the space of being, more in a front facing capacity, because I knew how I wanted because with my own career clarity that I got, I knew that I wanted my role to be out front, right? And so I say that for a very specific reason. One of the key things that I do with all of my coaching clients is take them through my career clarity framework, because a lot of the social workers are running around in the job market and they are not clear about what they want their career to look like, how they want their day-to-day work to look, how to strategically infuse the things that they actually like into a paid job. Many social workers are working jobs that they hate, and it's because they don't have clarity, and they took a more passive approach to their career, meaning they just did whatever the professor or the college or fellow colleagues told them they can do as a social worker, and they never really sat down and took the time to get clear about, what do I want to do in this social work profession? How do I want my day-to-day work? A lot of people gave away their power to make that decision based off of people telling them, professors telling them, mentors, people they look up to and hold in high regard, telling them that this is the only way to make money. However, what they fail to take into account is, yes, money is great. However, money don't mean nothing in the grand scheme of things if your job is diminishing your overall quality of life, right? So a lot of people have what social workers would deem as dream jobs, and behind the scenes they hate their job. It's negatively affecting their life. It's negatively affecting their relationships. And then on top of that, the money really ain't that good, right? Because I did a whole video about that. I don't know if I could share it, being that I'm live on this right here, but I'll share it at some point in my community feed. I did a whole live conversation once a few months ago around the whole good money thing. Good money is subjective because good money to you may not be good money to me, or vice versa, right? So a lot of people are also, they also chose like, I want to be a such and such social worker based off people telling them it was good money, and the reality is that it ain't. And on top of that, they hate their job and they hate what they do day in and day out, right? So I share that to say that a lot of social workers took a more passive approach to their social work career, and it's because you didn't have clarity and you really just gave that power away. So, but I want to talk about confidence, right? So confidence, again, I explained what that is, but I want to share with you three strategies, three of my proven strategies around how to start increasing your internal career confidence, to start going after those big jobs, the what we call scary jobs, or even just to make another career move. Because a lot of people stay in their jobs again that they don't like just because they're fearful of the unknown. So the first is that you need to understand that your confidence doesn't stem from confidence doesn't increase by knowing everything, right? So what I see from social workers, and again, I have taught with literally thousands and thousands of social workers, not just inside of the US, also in a multitude of other countries. And so, what I know to be true is that many social workers believe that their confidence will increase the more they amass more like degrees, certifications, licenses, right? And so what this looks like is that they are severely over credentialed, right? I'm putting on my workforce development hat. That's what I do as a macro social worker outside of my business, right? So they are severely over credentialed, meaning you have all of these certifications, degrees, licenses, CEUs, all of the things. But when it comes to the relation of like how much you're earning yearly, right? And also the classification of the job that you're in, it doesn't match up, right? So what that looks like is a lot of social workers, their credentials is up here. However, their pay and the like classification level of their job is down here. And that's not me talking as a social worker who has just landed a macro job. That's me talking as a person who, in my professional life, that's what I do is do work around, provide technical assistance to leaders around the country on workforce development issues. So this is from studying the job market, studying the thing, right? So a lot of social workers are, and a lot of degree professionals, so let me be clear about that, but I'm talking to social workers only, are severely over credentialed, right? This is why you feel like you have not gotten a rate of return on your degree. You feel like you're not making a living wage, and it's true because you're not in a position that matches like all of the credentials that you have, right? And so I just wanted to break that down because that wouldn't be me if I didn't. But again, confidence is not amassed by degree accumulation and certificates. What I've learned over the last 10 to 15 years in my own career in coaching dozens and dozens of other individuals is that career confidence increases by the more knowledge you have about the job that you're targeting, right? So it's less about theory that you're learning in a classroom when you're getting a degree, and more about application in the real world, right? So your confidence is low because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what a typical, if there is such a thing, a typical day looks like in the position. You don't know what competencies or skills are needed in a position. A lot of people go about picking their job by just going on the job board and applying for the first job that floats by. And then even in reading the job description, they don't have the requisite like knowledge enough to be able to effectively, especially social workers, especially if it's in a non-social work traditional setting, so something outside of a social service agency clinical setting. You don't have enough requisite knowledge to distill down enough the job description to understand what are they saying here, what does this look like, right? So an example is, if in the job post they're talking about that this role is required to be doing budget management, a lot of social workers in reading that will think, oh, I don't have experience in that. I need to go get a degree in finance, or I need to go take a budget class, or go get a budgeting certification. When in essence, no, you do have budget management experience as a social worker. Even in your case management job, you have done that competency before. However, you're not able to identify it because you don't understand what budget management fully is outside of a credential. One, and then two, you don't know how that looks in your social work experience. And that leads me to a conversation, a video that I did yesterday about the difference between competencies and tasks and duties. And I was breaking it down. I encourage you to, like, once this live is over, once you watch this video, go and watch the video I uploaded last night to understand the difference between a competency and a task and duty. A competency is the thing that gets macro jobs. And that is not amassed by going to get a degree. It's amassed by hands-on application that many of you, all of you, have gotten in your case management job. You just don't know how to identify it. And that's where I come in, right? So I say all that to say that confidence does not increase by credentials. It increases by hands-on application and also fully understanding what an employer is looking for in a position, in a job post that you're reading. Okay. And so that's what I teach my coaching clients. Yesterday, we had a whole bonus workshop series inside of the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator with my current cohorts, where I broke down key competencies. There were 4 of them actually, key competencies that every social worker has. And I went with them line by line and broke down from a job post around and explained to them how they amassed this skill and this experience and what it looks like in a case management direct practice job. And at the end of that, I then assessed their learning, right? And had them give me an explicit experience of where they've done this throughout their career. So going forward, my coaching clients now, when they see a job that says budget compliance or budget management or project management or what was the other one? Contract negotiation. They know that they've done that, but even more than that, they know how to like explain where they done that, right? And we're not talking about managing a caseload. They're able to speak to explicit moments where they have negotiated a contract as a case manager and what it was regarding and why that was a thing for their position and how much money was tied to it, because this is what I taught them. So I say that to say, like, confidence is not amassed by degrees, and these people have a multitude of degrees and they did not know this. Confidence is amassed by learning how to dissect a job post, by understanding what key competencies macros employers are looking for, and then more than that is learning how to identify where you've done it, right? And so when my coaching clients, I would say when they started that bonus workshop series yesterday at the top of their hour, their belief, their confidence in their ability to do project management, budget management, what was the other one? Contract negotiation probably was at a 1. They didn't believe that they had ever done it. By the time we were at the end of that session, their confidence was well above a 10, and the max is a 10, because they could confidently say, Oh, I know how to do that because I've done that for the last 5 years. One of my coaching clients, because I had them each share where they've done it. He shared that he does contract negotiation now as a part of his clinical case management job because I think he's a medical social worker, but he does aspects of clinical social work as well. His organization pays for patients, and I am not medical social worker and I'm trying to remember, but they cover the cost for in-skill nursing facility care for patients. And so he says that every week he has to submit the invoice to the nursing home facility to get them to pay for the patient. However, every week he finds himself having to then talk with the in-home nursing facility about them accepting the rate that they're able to pay for that week. And a lot of the times that ends up in a lot of going back and forth negotiation where he has to go between the facility and his employer, his leadership, and negotiate a better rate that the facility is willing to take. That's contract negotiation, right? So my coaching client now understands that he does more than just medical social work. You're in there negotiating contracts, fee for service, things like that. So his confidence off the chart. And he just started with me yesterday. Okay. The second way that you build your confidence, the second thing that I want you to understand about building your confidence to take the next big step in your career is that your experience is enough. And I just kind of touched on that. Your experience is enough. Again, the default should not be I need to go get another degree. And I'm gonna get you to see why that doesn't work, right? Look at all of the degrees, the certifications, the licenses that you have. Has your confidence increased anywhere any differently from when you didn't have a degree, or maybe when you only had one or two of them? Are you still afraid to hit apply on the scary job and now you have 3 master's degrees and 2 bachelor's degrees and five, certifications under your belt? Are you still afraid to hit apply on the scary job? And if so, that is a sign to you that the degree is not the thing. It's your experience that you need to lean into. So I really say that to encourage you to flip. Just flip a little bit, flip the approach, right? You always hear the saying, and it's kind of cliche, but it's so true. Why keep trying the same thing if you've been trying it for year after year after year and it's still not yielding you the results that you want? That's kind of wild, right? So I would encourage you, like, if you've been leaning on the fact that my degree should be building my confidence, but it has not done that for you and you're still fearful to take the next big step in your career, I would encourage you to really get crystal clear about your experience, right? And how that and what that looks like in relationship to macro jobs. Like, click open a scary job. Just instead of looking just at the job title and looking at the salary, click open the job and read what the people are saying they want and fully be able to read through it and understand and identify, okay, they're looking for this, I did this, right? And over time, it's not going to happen with just looking at a job post one time. And it's not going to happen from just reading one bullet. You're going to have to do this over and over and over again. Think of it like building a muscle with working out, right? That's what my trainer used to say. We're building muscle. This is a process. That's the other thing that I would like to talk about is that a lot of social workers approach their career development and getting good quality jobs in a way that I really don't understand. And I be trying to I really be trying to like find an eloquent way to talk about it. But the only analogy that I have as of right now is like I see a lot of social workers think that I just apply one time and the people are going to hire me. That's not how it works. Degrees don't get jobs, not in this job market because everybody has a degree, right? What gets you jobs is your ability to identify aligned positions that match up with what you say you want to do and that match up with your experience, your skill set, and your interest. And so, what I really encourage you to do is start clicking open some of those jobs so you can start going through the process, because it's not an overnight thing. You're not going to just apply to one job and that will be it. It's a process. And I'm going to just say it this way. Even though you all as social workers talk to your clients every day, all day about SMART goal planning and taking baby steps and being gentle with yourself and giving yourself grace, whatever you tell your people on a day-to-day basis, one thing that I can say for sure is that you all do not do what you preach. You all do not do what you preach. You all do not believe in SMART goal planning. You think that something is just going to happen with the blink of an eye, and it's not. It's going to take small steps. It's going to start requiring change in behavior, changing your ways, especially if you want to do something completely different. So one of the things I really encourage you to do is to become your own client, your own participant, and start implementing a little bit of what you preach to other people, a little bit of those theories and techniques that you teach other people. Because what I can say to be true is that social workers have a lot of unrealistic expectations when it comes to jobs. And what happens is you end up hurting your own feelings. And over time, that diminishes your confidence because you try it one time and then you halfway try it. You have buddy. It ain't even your best work. And then when it doesn't yield a result, you say, "Oh no, it didn't work. I'm not doing that anymore." Or you just default back to the easy of quick apply on the job board, or only applying to jobs that say LCSW in the thing, or they're hiring a mass number of people with licenses, and you know they're gonna hire you because they desperately need people that need licenses, and nothing against a license, but if that's what you say you don't want to do, why do you default to that, right? And so I really encourage you to start building the muscle and just start learning how to read through a job post. That's what I teach my coaching clients. I teach my coaching clients how to read job posts, because a lot of what I see is that people are just making assumptions about what they can't do. Again, because you don't have all of the requisite knowledge and skills to apply to read through the job post. And so that's what my coaching program is designed to do: teach you the effective strategies, the proven strategies on how to read through it. The third thing that I wanted to share is that, and this is talking about the SMART goal steps, right? You have to take very strategic steps to build the big confidence. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not even going to happen in 1 year. It may not even happen in 3 years. There are strategic steps that you have to go through. Again, it's a process in a very like planned out, purposeful way to build your confidence, right? So earlier I talked about like confidence isn't about knowing everything, and it doesn't come from the amassing of degrees and credentials. And I talked about like building the muscle of opening up the job descriptions and at least reading them, because that's going to make you uncomfortable if you've never done that before. If you just automatically looked at something, closed it out, and like, oh no, that ain't for me. So I say that to say that number three, you have to understand that these small steps build over time. I'm always very transparent about the fact that I didn't jump out on the internet the way that I show up today. I used to be very like professional mode, Miss Pitts, like how I am in my professional life, which is very, very different. However, small steps got me to the point where I'm like, I just come on now, like I'm talking like y'all, my homegirl or homeboy, and I'm just talking regular. Now, this is not how I will show up in my 9 to 5. I show up very differently. However, I know that if I show up like that doesn't translate well to you all. So I have to show up a different way. But my point of saying that is that small steps got me to this point where I can just come on and say and I don't edit my podcast. I don't come on and try to be picture perfect. I don't come on and try to, talk, code switch to the thousand to the 10th degree, right? Well, honestly, because I don't code switch anymore. I stopped that when and during the height of the pandemic because it was wearing my soul out. I don't code switch anymore. I show up exactly how I am. But those were small intentional steps that I had to take to get to this point. So I say that as well to you, that your confidence can grow, can increase with intentional steps. And that's what I teach my coaching clients. That one of my coaching clients, she just wrapped up her time inside of the accelerator. However, I remember when I first met her at the beginning of last year, she wouldn't even turn her Zoom camera on. She barely would say one word to me. Her confidence was negative 1,000. Negative 1,000. I honestly could say that. And at the end of the 3 months of her working with me inside of the accelerator, she now has volunteered to be a part of a regional review board in her organization. And she had been working there for like 10, 15 years and never did a thing. She just came in and did her job every day and went home. Now she's a part of this regional review board that she's volunteered to be on, but is also a part of her job, is now outside of her 9 to 5. We don't volunteer like how other social workers tell y'all to do. This is within the parameters of her job. She's giving she's doing presentations in front of senior level executive leaders about her findings and research regarding best practices towards this key objective of the review board. And every time she comes out of a meeting with them, she emails me and she's like, Marthia, I just gotta say, my confidence is off the chart. She was like, I would have never volunteered for such a thing. And she was like, and I'm not even nervous about being in that space. And why? It's because I took her through very strategically, intentionally curated process of building her confidence. I didn't just throw her out there and say, figure it out. No, I took her through I took her through the career clarity phase. Let's get clear around what issue, what population are you passionate about? And then I taught her how to find jobs, and then also in her organization, how to find stretch role assignments so she can start getting her feet wet and not have to wait until the actual dream job interview comes up. And then she's up there like, what is it? By trial and fire, trying to figure it out as she goes. We want to practice that ahead of time. And then I also taught her how to prepare for these meetings and how to go through the knowledge acquisition phase so she can speak confidently for herself, not for others, for herself about the research that she was presenting to the group. All of that was through a strategically curated process that I've created that I teach my coaching clients. So my coaching clients go from being case managers who have never been asked their thoughts, opinions, or ideas. And honestly, they never was in a place to like raise their hand and say, I have an idea. Those aren't my coaching clients. However, when they're done working with me, my people are traveling the country and giving presentations, leading presentations in DC. I have a coaching client who's an international macro social worker now, and she presents at the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland, before she barely would say 2 words. They go for big jobs. They're being headhunted by Ivy League universities. And that's because I've taken them through my very strategic process. And that's the whole point of me talking about this. It's a strategic process of what I know that works to build your confidence. And again, in what I just explained, none of that included going back to school and getting another degree or go taking the CEU or getting a certification or getting a license. I don't even talk about it to my coaching clients. Confidence comes through you having opportunities to work on your confidence, one, internally, but two, also learning about the type of work that you say you want to do. So that way you know what to expect. Your confidence is low because you don't know what to expect. And that's with anything in life. When you go in the unknown, you're hesitant, you're a little fearful. But the more knowledge you have, the better you can prepare for something. And so that's what I teach my coaching clients through all of those strategic things that I outlined for you all at the top of this call to now to the top of this conversation to now. If you're just now joining, go back and watch the replay because I give you strategies on how to build your confidence, the confidence you need to take the next big step in your career. And I just want you to know that it does not, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. It does not come from a degree. And if you don't believe me, go and do your own self assessment. The last degree that you have, that you obtained, the last certification that you obtained, the last license that you got, did your confidence increase? Did you go hit apply and get the big scary job? Most likely you did not. You stayed in the same case management job or something that was equivalent to that, that was safe. So that's your proof that more degrees, more certifications, more licenses, more CEUs does not build confidence. It's all of the other things that I named in this video. So I'm going live every day this week. And if you want to come, you come. If you don't, you don't. I'm going to be here. The replay will be here. I'm going to go live every day this week. I will make an announcement of when that will be. And every day the topic will be different. But it will be beneficial. What I'm teaching you are things that you can take right now and implement to make the big next step in your career. And so, like I said, we are enrollment just opened yesterday for cohort 17 of the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator. And people started signing up weeks ago, honestly. And they're already working on learning, getting clarity and getting clear on what competencies they have under their belt to get the macro jobs they want. However, registration for cohort 17 did officially open yesterday. If you want to enroll, click the link down in the comments. You can schedule a free 15-minute get to know you chat. It's free. Come talk to me. I'm not selling you nothing. I'm just telling you about the program. I just want to hear about what your career needs and goals are, what your barriers have been or issues have been with getting a macro job. And I'm assessing to see if you will be a good fit for our community. I don't work with every social worker. I keep saying that for a reason. If I'm unable to help you, I at least give you something that you can take and hit the ground running with. But if you're a good fit, I give you information about the price, payment plan options, financing options. Again, I have financing options that require a credit check, that don't require a credit check. I have a lot of things to reduce prices, to make pricing not a barrier. Honestly, and I'll say this here, and I'm sure I'm going to repeat it again. I was talking to a homeboy of mine this morning, and he was talking about the dilemma. He calls it a dilemma. The dilemma he was having about the fact that he needs to get his car fixed. And he was like, my dad keeps telling me to just take it to a shop, an auto mechanic shop. And he was like, but I really want to go with this guy. Right? So you're not from the South. I don't know what y'all say up north, but like a shade tree mechanic. He was like, but I really want to take it to the shade tree mechanic. And this friend particularly, he think I know everything in the world, and I always have to tell him I don't know everything. Like I don't know. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And the things I know are about like how to survive life, because I lived a lot more years in survival mode than thriving season, like where I am now. So, but he swear I know everything in the world. So he was like, "Do you think I should take my car to the shop, or you think I should let the shade tree in and fix it?" He was like, because I honestly, I'm not. He was like, I don't want to pay whatever the shop is. The shop is gonna make me pay a lot of money, right? And I was like, well, honestly, probably years ago I would have agreed with you on that. I know I would have, not maybe. I said, but honestly, where I am now, what I'm realizing is that a lot of the things that we think cost a lot of money in the grand scheme of things really don't, when you tally up like all that you have spent money, time, energy, capacity wise to go with the cheaper option. And so I told him, I was like, I need to talk to my people about that because I was thinking about that yesterday for me in my own life. When I look back over the things that I was like, I'm trying to go the cheaper route on because it's like I ain't got money for that. You know, that's a lack mindset. If you don't know, that's lack. And you better work on it and you work on it fast because a lack mindset will also lead you to severely underestimating your value in the job market and taking low paying jobs, and that comes from someone who had to work on her lack mindset. If you don't know about like my life story, which I haven't told my full life story, but again, I spent a lot more years in survival than thriving. So anyway, I was like, when I was looking back recently over the things that I was like trying to take the cheap route on or felt I didn't have enough money on, in the end, I ended up spending more money than I would have had to pay to go get it done the right way. Right. So in relationship to what my friend was talking about with taking the car to the shop, you have an established business that if something go wrong 2 years from now, you could go back to that business or to that franchise and tell them you got an issue. You can find the people. You have a warranty. You got a receipt. But bigger than that, it's all in one. With the shade tree mechanic, you have to one get the shit. You got to call the shade tree mechanic 20 times to get him to come to your house and look at your car because he was telling me like he already is trying to track the man down. You got to go back and forth with him. That's energy. Go back and forth with him about negotiating when he gonna come over there. It's cold here. Don't nobody want to come out here and work on your car in the cold at your house and it's not in a building. So one, you're gonna spend a lot of energy going back and forth there. Then on top of that, he said he said that when he talked to the man was like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to buy my tools too. He's like, what? I'm buy your tools. So not only are you gonna have to buy the parts, every single part. Again, time, energy, and capacity, because he ain't got my friend ain't got a car. He out of commission. And his dad ain't one of those dads that are like, willing to drop everything to do for him. Like, so he's gonna have to go back. He's gonna have to tongue wrestle with his dad to get him to take him back and forth to the auto parts store to get each part because there's always something missing or something wrong, or you're gonna have to go and exchange it. So that's probably like 20 trips in and of itself. Then on top of that, the man said he want him to buy his tools. So who knows how much that is? Because you can't go to the Dollar Tree and buy, the dollar ring. I don't know nothing about fixing a car, but I used to, I used to dibble and dabble with using shade tree mechanics. So you got to go buy the dollar screwdriver and the dollar wrench and then the dollar this and you can't do that from the Dollar Tree. So you have to go buy quality tools. So your bill already increasing. Right. And so then by the time you get him a little package, shade tree mechanics. You give him a little package so he can work on your car, whatever his thing is. Probably gotta feed him. Probably gotta let him come in your house and suck up some warm air because it's like 40 degrees here. All of that. By the time you done with that, you have spent way more money than had you just called the mechanic, the what do they call it? The shop. Call the shop to inquire about how much does it cost. And I said, what I was telling him is like, what I learned is like a lot of things that I always thought were expensive really aren't in relationship to the time, money, energy, and capacity that I saved by outsourcing the thing. Right. I said, you don't even know how much the price is at the shop because you refuse to call. Your lack mindset is just telling you it's gonna be an arm and a leg, and you don't even know because you didn't call. But let's say like at the shop, it's like we could fix it, it'll be fixed for $1,000. And then if you go back and calculate all of the things that I told you about with the shade tree mechanic, he's going to be spending close to $2,000 because he's going to have to take off of work. That's money lost because he doesn't get paid time off. Well, he does, but he try not to use his time. Going back and forth with his dad, putting gas in his dad's car, buying his dad dinner for doing all of the back and All of that has to be included when you could have just paid $1,000, been in and out, and got a warranty. So so I tell that story because I know it will help someone understand what I'm saying. A lot of the things that you think are cheaper really at the end of the day ain't cheaper, and you spending way more money. Because again, with the shade treatments, Kenny, he's gonna have to get the car fixed again because he just did this a few years ago, and we back at he back at the situation where he is with this car situation. And he just went through this like a few years ago. But if you would have took it somewhere before that with a warranty, you would have just had to go and take your car back to the mechanic, to the shop, and like, hey, your warranty was for 5 years. It's been 2 years. I need y'all to run that and fix this car. So I say that in relationship to the micro to macro career accelerator. A lot of you think that it's cheaper to just go get you a resume, right? I can't tell you the number of social workers who have enrolled in my program who have purchased resume writing services before. And it worked to get them the job they have. However, now they're at a place where they realize like those weren't even the types of jobs they wanted. Right. And so now they got to pay me. But the benefit of paying me is you get it all in one. I'm going to teach you how to write your resume. I'm going to teach you how to master your interview. I'm going to teach you how to get clarity once and for all. I'm going to teach you how to plan for your career, right? Whereas with a resume writing services, you're buying all of that stuff a la carte, and resume writing services are not cheap. For the more the more degrees you have, the bigger that price point goes up into the 4 figures. And I don't care who you get to write your resume. Now, if they're writing your resume and it's only 3 figures or less than that, they're only writing it for another case management job. So I say that to say, because I know that story will help someone. Someone will tell me like, I completely understood that. Don't don't be like my friend and think the shade tree, like the whole, I'm going to pay cheaper here is better. And I'm not picking at my friend because I've been there. It doesn't. It was one time I got my Nissan. No, I had my PT Cruiser then fixed by the shade tree mechanic because my friend at the time kept telling me to let the man do it. It cost me more money in the end to get fixed what he had broken than the original thing that needed to be fixed. But my mindset wouldn't even let me think that I was in a place to be worthy enough to go into anybody's shop and inquire about getting my car fixed, right? So in the words of Funky Dineva, you either pay on the front end, you pay on the back end, but you're gonna pay. So yeah, I wanted to share that. So I'm gonna go. So schedule a free get to know you chat. The link is down in the comments. And I'll see you tomorrow. Happy macro career planning.